Hi guys. Hey, listen, so I wanted to do this video because I wanted to do this kind of recap on day 32. When I did day 32, I was so exhausted that I ended up doing like a really short video and it went into the shorts, right? And I didn't really talk too much about what I was thinking that day. I just kind of, hey, I got the day done. Thanks for following. See you guys later. I was so tired, right? I couldn't wait to hit the showers and just go to bed. And so I wanted to take some time to just kind of recap on some of the thoughts that I've had, during that day regarding, what was going on in my mind during that run. And I wanted to kind of share, so I think a lot of these things that I'm putting in these videos, one day are going to be valuable to somebody, whether it's valuable to you because you've learned something from something that I'm sharing, an experience that I'm sharing, or whether it motivates you to do something and challenge yourself to grow, or whether, my kid comes back when she's older and she watches these videos and kind of like, maybe it'll remind her of lessons that I have shared with her when she's young. And so I like sharing some of these thoughts that are going through my head in these videos because I think they might be valuable to her or maybe even to you, right? On day 32, I had a very interesting group of thoughts that came to my head. And one of them was that I'm documenting a lot of this stuff in these videos. But the funny thing is that I've never been one to really document things. So in previous videos, I have talked about how I have had the opportunity to do some traveling and I've gone to some pretty cool places and lived some pretty cool experiences that maybe most people or a lot of people will never do, right? Because maybe you will go to Maui and maybe you will spend some time on the beach and maybe, that's great. But who knows? The chances of you running into a wild school of dolphins out in the middle of the ocean in Maui, maybe the timing doesn't quite work out. And I actually had that experience of I'm out in the middle of the ocean, I'm in the water, and all of a sudden here comes like 20 dolphins. And I got to swim with 20 dolphins, wild dolphins, out in the ocean. It just, I can't even explain to you what that felt like. Or you might go to Canada and you might go kayaking and you might do all these crazy things. But I had an experience in Canada that I really doubt you're gonna have. I rode my kayak right next to like 3 orca whales. As a matter of fact, that was the reason why I rode the kayak. The orca whale came up on the side of me. It scared me. I went to shift my weight on the kayak. Another whale blew its blowhole right next to me on the other side. And when I went to compensate on the kayak, I rode the kayak. And it is my understanding that I was the first person in 5 years to roll a kayak with that guide who was guiding us through the islands. And the crazy thing is when I hit the water, within a minute or so of me being in the water, I felt this super deep vibration. It went through my entire body. Like my hair vibrated. I had hair back then. I didn't shave my head all the time. Actually, I had long hair at that time. And I felt the vibration even in my hair. It was almost like when I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but when you stand in front of a really, really powerful subwoofer and they crank the bass really hard and it's like boom, boom, and you feel this like just going through your entire body. That's what it felt like. That's the closest thing I can describe. When I got pulled out of the ocean and back onto my kayak, I explained this to the guide the guy that was guiding us through the island where we were. I said, you know, I felt something really bizarre when I was in the water. I spent a lot of time in the ocean. I never felt that before. And he said, that's not the ocean. He said, that was a sonar. The whale has sonar. It shoots the sonar vibration through you, it bounces from you, and it receives it. And that whale will know who you are. If you run into that whale 20 years from now, in you know, South America, I don't know that orcas go down that way, but wherever I run into this whale is going to know exactly who I am. And it's going to remember the exact moment that it came in contact with me. And it's going to remember that I didn't do any harm to it. And from what he was explaining to me, and I'm not a marine biologist by any means, so I have no idea, but I can tell you this. His explanation to me was that this sonar gave that whale everything stuff that I don't even know about myself, like my DNA structure, my cellular composite, my, you know, well, that tells you everything, right? I mean, DNA. It's like the core of who you are. So you might go to Canada and you might go kayaking and you might do some of these things, but your experience is going to be very different than my experience. I took that experience, you know, and here I am, I don't know, 25 years later, and to me, it was one of the most amazing things that I ever experienced. I mean, I fell right next to the whale. I basically like rubbed the whale going down. Like I fell I'm so close to it that my arm like rubbed the flap of the whale. Like it was the most amazing thing. And the whale didn't freak out or anything. It was almost like it made space for me, and it just kind of like chilled right there next to me. And so then I went to grab my kayak and I went to crawl back on the kayak, and the whale never left. It just stayed there. So my thoughts that day was about documenting events. I don't have very many pictures of my trip to Canada. I don't have very many pictures of my trip to the Cayman Islands. I mentioned to you guys that I swam with like thousands of stingrays, right? How many pictures of that? I've always had this mentality of I don't want to be focusing on taking pictures. I don't want to be focusing on photographs. I want to be focusing on living the moment. When I go snowboarding and I'm barreling down the mountain, I don't want to be taking pictures, right? I just want to enjoy the ride. 100% present. But there's a detriment to that, right? Because I can't show you pictures. I can't show you pictures of, you know, my trips to Cancun. I can't show you pictures of my trips to anywhere, really. I mean, I have very, very few pictures, if any, you know. And when I was younger, you know, Facebook wasn't around. You know, there was no, you didn't carry a phone camera or anything like that. But to be honest, even now, I don't take a lot of pictures. I take pictures of my daughter, and I take pictures of me and her doing things. But if I go on vacation, I don't really do a lot of picture taking. I'm focused on enjoying the vacation. And that could just be me laying on the beach, right? Like, it's not like I have to be actively doing something. Even if I'm just laying on the beach, I just want to take in the moment, so I don't sit there and try to document what's going on. And I realized, like, I'm not going to leave a lot of memories for my daughter to look at pictures. You know, like when we were kids, we used to look at these albums and we would look at, oh my God, there's grandma with me when I was a baby, or there's my uncle blah blah blah, and I was riding on his motorcycle, or whatever. I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to be leaving that for my daughter. So, one, it kind of made me conscious that I need to maybe change that. I need to take more pictures. two, it kind of made me think about these videos a little bit more, like the value of being able to do this, being able to talk about some of my experiences. And it's not somebody saying, oh yeah, you know, your dad did this and I was there. But rather me telling her or telling you in this video about me swimming with the school dolphins in Maui, you know, or being in Stingray City in the Caymans, or, you know, having practically rolled over a whale in Canada. You know, these are things that maybe even if I would have had a camera, I wouldn't have been able to document. But even if I would have been actively thinking of documenting my trip, because they're just things that happen. But I get to talk to her and I get to talk to you about it. And as I'm doing these videos, I'm finding myself more and more moved by this whole concept. And I know it sounds really silly for me to now be like, wow, this thing YouTube, video, talking in video. And you're probably thinking these videos are lame and stupid. But to me, you know, I've mentioned before, YouTube was always like this thing where like I just would look for information on how to do something. You know, and every now and then I get caught up watching some kid falling off his bike and make me laugh about it. I can laugh about it because I can guarantee you that I have fallen in every possible way that you can imagine off my bike. So I know how it feels. I laughed at myself when I fell. Right? So yeah, I was thinking about all these thoughts about documenting things. And so if I can share some advice with you, find a balance. Find a balance. I mean, you have to really kind of be in the moment and enjoy your fun, like what you're doing, right? But also find the balance to document who you're with or what you guys did, you know? And today, it's not like when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you had to carry a camera and it had lenses and you carried it around your neck and it was like this bulky thing. And if you wanted great pictures, you had to carry this, you know, a camera that was, you know, this big, right? Nowadays, the camera's on your phone and you have your phone with you at all times, right? So it's a lot easier to have, you know, picture popping, take a picture. And we have all these online storage options, right? To store our memories, right? I mean, Facebook's amazing. I load files into my Facebook account and I just set them to private because they're my photos. I don't necessarily want to be sharing all my photos with everybody. I share what I want. But it's a great place to store your photos, you know? Store them on the cloud. Put it on your Google, right? You have all these things. But, you know, and like I said, I don't really take a lot of photos, so there's not a whole lot there. But these were some of the things that I was thinking about on day 32. I didn't get a chance to share that with you. I was totally exhausted. But I wanted to take a moment and go back and just share with you that this running challenge has become so much more than just a running challenge. I mean, I'm talking about exponentially more. It's time that I am in my mind and I'm reflecting on things that I did for work or things that I need to do or things that I want to learn or things that I maybe lacked in. For example, the documenting of my vacations, you know, like it's one of those things where it's a flaw, it's something that I lacked, right? So, you know, it's weird. It's like those 25 minutes, those 30 minutes that I'm running, it literally, it becomes like internal time. You know, David Garvin talks about, how you have to be in the dark. You have to disconnect from social media and from all the things that influence you, because in the dark, in that moment, in that suffering, when you're struggling, when you want to quit, when you're having those internal dialects, that's when the growth happens, because you're tackling your mind and you're controlling your mind and you're telling your mind, no, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and you're pushing through. And that's when it all happens. And this is also true. This is also going on in my mind. And maybe part of the me overpowering my mind is me reflecting on other things. Because if I'm sitting there thinking after every stride, oh my God, I want to quit. No, don't quit. Keep pushing. Oh my God, I want to go home. No, don't quit. Keep pushing. What are you going to do? Walk home? It's still going to be hot. You still have to walk home. And I'm having this dialect. But if I'm constantly just focusing on the dialect, right, then I'm giving the dialect space in my mind. And I think this is something that happens with work, it happens with our families, it happens with everything. If you're allowing yourself to give this tug of war space, this mental tug of war space in your mind, it distracts you, one. And two, it creates control. It has a certain amount of control of what you're thinking and what your mind is trying to do, and the overpowering of this that's going on. It's like an internal battle that's happening. And the more you feed it, the more you put attention to it, the more space it gains. It's been my observation. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just an everyday guy. But here's the thing. When I'm running and I'm having these dialects of this battling thoughts in my head, right? I check them. Like I'm like, no, stop it. Keep going. We're gonna run whatever we decided we were gonna run when I started this run. Stop talking to me. But then I immediately start to think, almost like, think of it like transcending meditation. I take my mind to think about something else, whether it's something that I listen to because I told you I listen to Garvin a lot, very low volume in my headset. Maybe it triggers a thought, and then I go down that rabbit hole in my head thinking about that thought, and how does it apply to my run, and how does it apply to my videos, and how does it apply to my life, and how could I implement some of this into my other areas of my life, or whatever it may be. And what I find is that once I check my mind into stop bothering me, we're gonna do this, just get on board. We're gonna do this. Okay? Whatever it is I'm doing, we're gonna do it. Whatever distance I'm gonna run, we're gonna do it. That's it. Stop bothering me. We're just gonna get on board and do it. And check my mind. But then I reflect on things and I try to focus on my inner analysis of what I'm reflecting on. Hence the documenting your vacations, or documenting your life, or documenting your memories. And it takes my mind away from that internal dialect, that distracting dialect that's trying to get me to turn around and just walk back home. And then before you know it, I'll be halfway through my run, maybe 2/3 into my run, and I'll be like, I'm already here. And then that little voice comes back and goes, yeah, this is stupid. You need to go home. It's hot. And then I do it again. Just stop talking to me. We're going to do what I said we're going to do. We're going to keep going. And then I go back and I go into this other state of like transcending meditation. And I start thinking about whatever it is I'm thinking. That inner exploration that's happening mentally for me, it's priceless, because I'm finding like little nuggets inside that are changing my perception of certain things, and I share little bits and pieces of these things on these videos with And my goal is to eventually share everything. But, I can't do it all in one video. So I want to take a moment to thank you for listening to my video. Thank you for following. Thank you for being a part of this. I invite you to take on a challenge, 365 days of doing something that challenges you, whether it's reading, spending more time with your family, working on something, a project that you need to get done, whatever it is. I invite you to take on the challenge. 365 days is supposed to be a transformation challenge, and for me, it is really becoming a transformation experience for me. And I'm only on day 35, I believe, right now. I'm recording this as a reflection of day 32, but I believe I'm at day 35 already. I think my run today is going to be day 36. So anyway, thank you so much for following. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. I hope you're enjoying these videos, and I hope I'm inspiring you to do something that'll help you grow and help you become a better person and impact the people around you. Have a wonderful day. Take care.